Hey guys, welcome back to another Tech Tip Tuesday. Today we're at TBM Brakes, so of course we're talking about brakes. I wanted to share something with you that I just learned recently, or kind of gained a little bit more knowledge from Jason of TBM, and it was while we were working on Tom Bailey's Pro Mod. I didn't actually know about this, or I had a pretty strong misconception of how residual valves worked in a braking system. So as you may know, the TBM brakes, one of the big benefits of them is that they're no drag. That means the pistons return when you let off the pedal, which then actually moves fluid the other direction. This can actually start to cause a little bit of problems, especially depending on how your brake lines are ran, your master cylinder in relation to the actual caliper itself, and a whole host of other variables. So in Tom's car, the master cylinder was actually lower than the brake calipers, so the fluid was naturally wanting to move back into the reservoir of the master cylinder. There's no internal bleed back valves and any of that stuff, so it definitely affords the opportunity for fluid to move the wrong direction. Additionally, the way his lines were built, the fluid kind of went up and then it went down, so there was a little bit of fluid here. The fluid here had kind of gone away, so with the TBM brakes, the fact that the pistons moved backwards, it made for somewhat of a pedal that wasn't quite there. The next time you went to step on a pedal, especially if it was long enough, the fluid had time to move away from the caliper, so then you had to kind of like double pump the pedal to get it back. This is something that we could definitely do away with by using a residual valve, and we did in fact do that, but it requires the right pound residual valve. Now, little caveat to this is a lot of brake calipers don't have returning pistons, and that actually is a whole different topic, but you typically won't have this problem with a dragging brake, which is good and bad. The pads are already touching the rotor, so when you hit the pedal it's going to be right there, whereas the TBM needs to travel to get the pistons back and the pads back to touching the rotor. So going back to what I was talking about, what we found and what Jason kind of taught us all is that with the TBM brakes, a 2-pound residual valve is enough to keep the fluid at the caliper where it needs to be, keep it from coming back out of the lines, but not enough to create the pad drag resistance that we're not looking for. It actually allowed the pistons to return slightly, but keep the fluid there. A residual valve is essentially a one-way valve. The fluid will go past, but it won't go back up to a certain poundage. So it's going to keep 2 pounds of pressure on it, which on a TBM caliper is enough to make the fluid there, but not drag the pads. I would assume most other manufacturers would have an idea of what that poundage needs to be, but it does let me know that actually a residual valve serves a function and also doesn't delineate all of the benefits of a returning pad, which obviously has dynamics on your chassis and the performance of your vehicle. So if you ever run into a situation where you're having to double pump a pedal, or you just don't have a good pedal feel, there is an opportunity to use a residual valve to make sure that pedal is there, the fluid's there, and it doesn't decrease the performance of your brakes themselves. Of course, there's some other options where you have too large of a line, so you're moving too much fluid, you have the wrong size master cylinder. This will not band-aid those situations, but a lot of times this is a good opportunity to use a residual valve. Now you know how they work. Now you know what applications they can and should be used in, and they're not necessarily needed for every application, but we do have these at TBM. They're on the website, different connections, different styles. They are directional, so they have to be installed properly to work properly, but now you know what they do, what they work for, and how they can be used in your application. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Tip Tuesday. We're going to be doing a lot more as it revolves around brakes. I feel like there's a lot of knowledge not out there, not being shared. So I'll probably even drag Jason to some of the future videos, but we have a lot to share with you guys. If you have ideas for the next Tech Tip Tuesday, drop them down below in the comment section. We love to hear from you guys, and this is how we get ideas for future videos. We'll see you later.